Adetokunbo. Purple Pebbles. Are you really recording? Oh my goodness.
Now that's going to go on. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Creative Juice with Adetokunbo. I'm your host. Today's conversation is going to be very interesting because I have with me a very, very dear friend of over close to 2 decades. And we've grown to know ourselves a lot. Then we grew apart and then we came back. She's somebody who has, from the things that she's going to be talking about, you see why I say she's someone who has more than two hands. She's doing so many things at the same time, but she's doing each one fantastically well. And in that aspect, she has been able to gather a lot of experience, gather a lot of wisdom, which is going to be sharing with us on our creative journey. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce and welcome to the podcast, Oluwatokunbo. Is it Adetokunbo?
My goodness, you're being fine. It's Adetokunbo. So one in the back, but it's Adetokunbo.
Adetokunbo Kupoluyi. No, scratch that. I know her as TK. We grew up knowing her as TK.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be just referring to her as TK. Adetokunbo is a mouthful. If our husband prefers Adetokunbo, I'm sorry. Please just allow me to say TK. So TK Kupoluyi or TK Odunsi, Ni Odusi.
Yep.
Welcome to The Creative Juice.
Hi. It's good to be here. It's really nice to do this.
Should I tell them the backstory on how we got you to get here?
I mean, that's one to say. I think it's okay to share that.
So we got into a conversation when I was setting up the space, and I made the mistake of calling her to show her the video of the space. And then I remembered, oh, this is TK you're talking to. But it was too late, and I dare not cut the call. So I said, what do you think about the space? And she goes, no, if you do this, change this here, put this here, that way. One thing I never take for granted is her creative input, because she is a very, very creative person. And you can see some of the things you said I implemented.
Mm-hmm.
And we have kudos for that, right?
Yeah.
So, and then it got to the point where I said, you know what? I need to get you on the podcast. And she said, no way, I don't want to talk. But she has so much to share. So I talked her into it, stopping short of threatening her. But yes, I'm glad we finally get to do this. And like we do on the show, the first thing that we do is, if you look to right behind you, you see a question that says, if you could open a door to anywhere, where would you go?
Oh, wow. That is, that's a question. And I'm not sure the answer is very direct, because the world is such a big place and I don't have one answer to one place. It would be like a plethora of places, like
Okay.
a lot of places. But then,
Okay, let me help you out with this.
okay.
A door could open to another door.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So
Okay. I mean, a string of doors, right? So
Yes.
the first one leading. I'd want to go to Tokyo, to be honest. It's just a place that I have studied a bit to understand that it's bursting with inspirations everywhere you turn. And it's one thing that I have found in my journey of creativity. I mean, that's what I eventually realized it was, that you need to pull inspiration from just about anything. And if you are a tree and you're lacking water, you're going to die. So you need to be you need to be grounded around things that fuel creativity. And I think Tokyo is going to be one of the many places. Marrakesh, maybe another one, just because of the textures and colors that you just see around you. This would be the first two places that I would want to go to.
From your answers, you like texture and color.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
So talking about textures and colors, I said something about, if you're a tree and you don't have water, you will dry out and eventually die.
Mm-hmm.
So my first question will be, What fuels your creativity?
Oh wow. Backstory. I'm not even sure I understood what this whole creative thing was until a lot of people started to point it out. Like, oh, you're so creative. I'm like, for real? And you get to hear, I heard that a lot, and I still keep hearing that. And then, of course, I started to wonder, what does this thing mean? Like, you're creative. What does that speak to? Because I've always just thought creativity was something that had to do with fine art. Like, you had to be able to draw something. That's what my definition of creativity was, right? And I'm like, I could even draw a heart shape to be balanced, right? Like, and it's also something about me just finding balance. If it's not quite balanced, I just feel like it's missing something. So imagine me trying to draw a heart shape and then the left isn't proportionate to the right. I'm like, and I'm not creative. And I started to trace my steps to try to understand what this meant and how it could be expressed. So in doing that, I was always just restless with my hands, right? My hands just would never be settled if I wasn't doing something, if I wasn't just making something. And this is as far back as maybe when I was 6, I realized I was always just looking for scraps somewhere to just amplify something. So um I mean, you may be familiar with this growing up, especially if you have a close sibling in age, they kind of just dress you up the same way. My sister hated it. She still hates it, and I loved it for some reason. And for every time my parents would get us the same thing and we would want to wear it, so the minute she realizes that I'm wearing the same thing, she goes to change. And I'm like, you don't have to do that. Like, and unfortunately, I kind of looked at like, so people thought we were twins, and she just couldn't stand it, especially, I mean, she's older. So I would always just try to do something different to my outfit so that she doesn't feel like we're wearing the same thing, right? So I would always amplify it. In my hat, I would put something else in it. And I started to stay with that longer. Like, why am I doing this? Why am I always doing this? And back in school, I realized that people didn't mind me making something. If it was a necklace, it was a brooch, if it was, the dainty things, I would just make it and it was fun. And I realized that pulling creativity was tied to that. And for me, it was looking around me and just finding something that stood out. And it could be as simple as a flowing fountain. It could be as simple as colors that just were stacked on the bookshelf, just the way the books were placed, color combinations like that. It could be a theme in the movie that I was watching. It could be an era. I had to start practicing how to be open to interpreting things that I see differently and seeing how I could infuse that into something that I was making, and it helped to know that I had been doing that as far back as when I was a kid, right? Just it makes it more grounded that way when you know that you can anchor that um inspo fuel to something, right? So I always go back when I struggle. I always just try to go back to some anchor, like what was it that made me change the color of my hat from my sister's own? What made me want to look different than every other person that had similar outfits as I did? And then that way I just dig further, I just go down one rabbit hole trying to find a reason. And then, it just kind of stands out. And then some days it's not always that in depth. Like some days it's like I'm just walking in the mall and then I see a child playing with a balloon and that itself is an inspiration. So I think the whole for creatives, the thing to do is just to be open-minded. Like you can't force it. You can't when you try to force creativity, you destroy it faster, right? You kind of have to let it take its course. Sometimes you just need to guide it. But if you try to r- keep it in the box and make it rigid and say this is my 10 steps on how to find creativity, you're just going to run out of ideas real quickly. But if you're flexible and you're open to just seeing inspirations from the most unassuming things, you'd be surprised the things that you're able to pull out from there. So there's not one direct answer to how creativity flows or how inspiration flows. You just, other than being flexible and open-minded.
Wow, you knocked out like 2 or 3 questions with
I
that
did.
answer. We started with where it came from,
Yeah.
and then you went to how to actually sustain creativity. But I'm going to go way, way back.
Okay.
And this is the first time you're hearing this. This was when I concluded you're a creative person. Remember back in Lagos, your house was just behind my sister's store,
Yeah.
and I would park behind, and then you would come. We'll sit in the car, and we'll talk, talk, talk. And then there was one day. So, guys, backstory. Now, at that point in time, right? Tokuma also cooks. She's a fantastic chef.
Okay.
Trust me. So, and I never say no to free food. So I would say, "Don't worry, you're coming, don't come empty handed." So she'll say, "Oh, it's only okra that we have." I said, "Don't worry, bring it." So she would bring food and I would enjoy it. Fantastic cook. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that and see how all this infuses together. And there was a day when the can she goes on and on and on about how she was trying to get materials from Abuja for something she was trying to make. And in my head, I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But you could see she was so into it. And she finally had a conversation with herself while she was having a conversation with me, had a conversation with herself, concluded on how she was going to sort it out. And then at the end, she goes, "Oh, thank you." And I'm like, I didn't do anything, But my conclusion was how, without seeing any of the material she was talking about, she actually designed that. I think was I can't remember, it was a top. I can't really remember, but she fully designed it in her mind in proportions, how she was going to mix everything. And I was like, okay, fine, you sorted it out. But no long after that, she started making fascinators. And pun intended, I was fascinated about that. And they weren't your regular fascinators. You couldn't miss it. That was the signature. It had to be different with either the way they were put together. There was always something, and I would say it was way, way, way ahead of our time. Now, my next question to you will be, you are bold enough to do that,
Mhm.
to present something that the market wasn't ready for. What gave you that boldness to, one, do that? And then did you face any backlash, any resistance to people accepting your fascinators?
Oh wow, that's a loaded question. And yes, to almost everything. Like my father would always say something to us as kids. He says this, you think your father's farm is the biggest until you go out. And he would just always say it to us. And I think now as an adult, I understand where he was coming from. Like, don't stay in your comfort zone. Don't stay in the familiarity. Always try to push the norm. And I mean, you made a point. My pieces have always just been like ahead of the time. And we're talking about 2003 to 2010, right? These were things that culturally back in Nigeria, no one was really doing this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I was restless. I just felt like I think I can do something. And of course, I had so many unfinished pieces because of that fear of, oh, what are people going to say, especially because people had said certain things before then. Like, and
Could you share some of the things that
oh,
people said?
what is this outrageous thing you've done? Who's going to put this on their head, right? Like, and of course, because my pieces are head spinners, you're going to have to turn when people wear them. You're going to stop someone in their tracks and ask, what is this, right? But it was at that point, I wasn't mature enough to understand that that was their fear projecting, right? And I was just being creative. I could see something that they couldn't see. And one thing that kept me going was I just couldn't stop. Right? Like I couldn't stop making them. The passion was there. I would do it just because I felt like I could do it.
Wow.
And then people would go, "Oh my goodness, what is this? where has this been? And there was this turning point for me. One of those was a prominent celebrity who stumbled on my page at the time.
Do you want to name names?
But yes, I could. I think I'm sure she wouldn't mind.
Go ahead.
NHN Couture.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
She just reached out and said, "My goodness, where have you been?" And in my head, I'm like, "I've been here," you know. And of course, because of the comments that I'd heard in the past, there's some doubts, like, oh my, maybe I'm just being too dramatic with all these pieces. Maybe indeed I'm not really doing what is practical, right? And then there was just this one person that was blown, and that was a turning point because it felt like if just one person could see what I was saying, then that was enough validity for me. And she went, and you know, the good thing about it is my pieces. I think one of the things that I had learned from one camp I'd been to when I was much younger, in secondary school, they made us go to some leadership camp.
Yeah.
On Snake Island in Lagos, if you guys are familiar with that. And that was the time when I kept hearing the word improvisation here and there. It's like, you have to learn to improvise. You need to learn to improvise. And I'm like, what the hell is improvising? Right. And when I understood what that meant, that kind of is a bedrock for me when I make my pieces. I never have my resources complete. And that for me is intentional. Like if I'm going to make a piece, if I'm going to start off making something, if I have it complete, if I have all the resources complete, I'm probably not going to finish that piece anytime soon. But the minute it's incomplete, that's when there's another burst of energy, another burst of adrenaline that comes, because I'm like, what else can I use? Right. So I start to look for the diamond in the rough. I start to look for the unseen things. Like I've used twigs to make a piece before. I've used skewers sticks to make pieces before. Like you start to look around and see things differently, right? And then there's this material that is almost, I want to say, what the foundation for hats. Generally, it's called siname. And there was this time in Nigeria where it was just not available. No one could get it in. And if you ever found anybody having it, it was going to be through the roof. And I'm like, why has this got to be the backbone of fascinators or hats generally? And I started to think outside, like, we've got fabrics around. How do I change the texture of this fabric to be a bit more rigid and accepting of other processes? How strong can I make this fabric? How flexible can I make this fabric? So it forces you to come out of that comfort zone of the familiar, right? And I mean, because I was able to do these things, I made pieces that this certain person was excited about, and she was happy to tell just about anybody, right? And then because it was a passion project for me at the time, I was just doing because I love to do it. She had made a comment on the post she had made, and people were like, "Oh, I love these pieces. I love it. Where can I get it?" And she's like, "Oh, you can find it with this person." And she said something. She's like, "Oh, it is ridiculously affordable." I'm like, excuse me? Because at the time I was struggling with pricing, which is, I think, another space where creatives struggle with a lot, because it's such a unique piece that you're making. Your craft is so unique that you may not have a reference point out there, right? So you have to figure a lot of these things on the go. And she had made that statement, and for some reason it made me very restless. Like, why? It's a good thing, yes, it's giving me the publicity. Yeah, but then I'm like, why was that the statement? Like, what does that mean? Am I underpricing? Am I overpricing? What is it? What's happening? And then I had to start to find measures to value my craft better, right? Because again, it's not a typical piece you would see. It could be similar to something someone else has made, but I can almost bet you that it is as unique as it comes, right? So that's that kind of spurred me to just work on a template that would make my business, or sorry, my craft, speak and stand on its own. Yeah.
Okay, so before we delve deeper into pricing, so when somebody of that social standing says ridiculously affordable, right? Which is where being a creative comes in. It could have rubbed up on you on a negative way, but then affordability is relative.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is affordable to an HNI person, for example, might be very expensive to somebody else. So a ridiculously affordable could be, hey, my affordability is X amount. And that amount is what some people say, wow, that's too expensive. Which I like the fact that you talked about value, which is what I believe. I put out a video a couple of months ago that talked about us teaching people how to treat us. And you saw the video, right?
Yeah.
Where I said, look, before you complain that people are undervaluing you or, for lack of another word, pricing you like tomatoes, right? For
Yeah.
what you believe is one more than that. The question you need to answer is who taught them? Because everything you entertain, everything you say yes to, everything you say no to, everything you let slide. A comment comes, you let it slide. You're actually teaching people how to treat you. You're telling them what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you say that when you started out, you allowed people or you taught people to see what you did as not premium and it was just something like mundane? Would you say you did that?
I mean, yes, of course I did. And this was because I had at the time I hadn't believed enough in what I was doing. There was no reference point again at the time. The closest reference point I had was England, and that was a staple of their outfit. Like it was something that was tradition to them. And for me, it's like it's talking to a group of people that tie gilly on their heads, and you're telling them to change their identity.
By the way, gele is the traditional Yoruba head tie.
Head tie.
Why? And trust me, it's a work of art on its own.
It is, and it's like you're trying to convince them to go past that or try to accommodate what it is that you're doing. It was a battle uphill, and it was difficult because it's like, oh, they don't want to put that on their head when they have in their definition the better alternative. So it took a lot of staying in the process and just waiting for the opportunity, right? And I'm thankful for the internet, really, because that kind of just propelled things faster.
Yeah.
You just projected it even further than it would have happened without it. So teaching people to undervalue, it was something because I had to do a lot of convincing. I think you should wear this, or I think you should do. And even I, as a person, it took a while for me to start wearing the very basic level of my pieces, right? And I remember why I struggled because my pieces are attention seekers. You just would find the attention on you when you wear them. And at that time, I was just timid or shy. I just didn't want that level of attention on me, so I wouldn't wear them. And then one day, it's like, who better to project or to market or to wear your pieces other than yourself? And I would, I summoned the courage, started with the really small pieces, and I made it a challenge back then to always wear a piece every time I had an occasion. A christening or a wedding, a church service, wherever it is I was going to, that was an occasion, I was going to wear a piece, however little it was. And what that did for me was made me more comfortable with them, right? It made me so comfortable and relaxed with them that I didn't know that I was not wearing them. And then when people I was then fishing for the compliments because I just knew they were going to come, from the facial reactions to the compliments that would come verbally. I was hunting for them. And it's turned things around because at that point, when I got confident with it, I was able to speak about it. I would also practice it in front of the mirror when someone says to me, oh, if I wanted this, how much is it going to cost? And if I said, for example, oh, this is going to be for reference, I'm just going to convert if this is going to be, say, $100. In my head, when I'm like, why would I want to charge this $100? I'm like, no, you need to sit down and understand why this is $100, because you're not just putting wearable art on that person. You're elevating the person's confidence. You're making that person walk taller. You're making that person feel happier, right? Because that's what I have seen with people who wear the pieces. It's for special occasions. It's for something important in their life at the time. It could be their wedding. It could be their registry. It could be a birthday. It was a celebration at the time and it was important. So you were being part of that importance. So why not put a price on that? So, beyond pricing the piece, it was pricing the feeling that went with the piece.
Can I so I do this a lot as part of the things that that was also my own reckoning moment to not be ashamed to do what I'm about to do. Right. So this is how, from everything you've said, right, this is how I see what your pieces do. Your pieces take people where they haven't been before. And they have to catch up to match what the pieces represent. And I'll explain. So you had to get to the point where you were no longer ashamed of the pieces being different, right? Your pieces were already different, but you had to catch up to wearing them and being comfortable.
Yeah.
So like you said, you had to elevate yourself to match the boldness of what you were creating. And in doing that, it made you a bolder person. It made you a more confident person. So what I see your pieces doing to people who wear them is, especially for people who want to make a statement, they are a catalyst to help people feel and become who they really are. In the sense that it takes audacity to wear them.
It does take audacity.
Because you have to be able to defend it. Now, imagine someone who is not confident in themselves wearing your piece, right?
They wouldn't even wear it.
You wouldn't wear it. But somebody who says, you know what, I like this. This is what, the attention, the comments are going to come. It forces you to become who you, I believe, ought to be. Right. So what I see, the positive thing, which through confession, why I said we had to talk about this was, your pieces are not just a fashion statement. They're an enabling factor to elevate the status, the feeling, and the value of the wearer. And if we look at human nature, that is what we all want. We want to feel better. We want to, be more confident in ourselves. And everybody, even the very quiet person, is looking for a way to express themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And nobody wants to blend into the background. So your pieces do that. So much more than wearing them, I see them as a way to help people become a better person, to become the true value of who they are. And again, another true confession. The first time I saw you wear them, I was like, what is this? Because I grew up in Lagos, which is the hub of what we call Owambe.
Yeah.
Every weekend is Lagos. It's an
party.
Owambe weekend. Owambe is our traditional parties where you have people dressed in a uniform, which we call Ashwebi. And then it was like a battle of who had the fanciest hair tie, right? So that was the background I was coming from. And then to now see these pieces, it took a while to adjust, which is where I want us to now talk about the adjustment aspect of it. I adjusted. I caught up with what Tokumbo was doing. And she was wearing it unapologetically, as she said. Now knowing the backstory that she even had to struggle to get herself to that point where it was in a case of, I didn't even know that I wasn't wearing it, right? Every other person, myself included, had to adjust to seeing you that way. And you have kept increasing, being more creative, bolder. When I saw this, I was like, okay. Now, so when she came on set, I already had my lighting set up, but when I saw that, I said, no, we had to tweak this lights to make sure that everything fits in. So, it was there's no way you wear this and you will not have a situation where your head turns. But at the same time, it is beautiful. So, question for you, right? How
I think I have an idea what question you want to ask. Go ahead and ask. How did we land here?
How did we get here?
Okay. So for creatives, right, I believe that there's something called the creativity block. And at least for the longest time, I believed that. And I also eventually came to realize that sometimes it's not necessarily a creativity block, but like maybe an exhaustion from other things.
Okay.
Right? Like so you're feeling exhausted from the other things that you do and you think you're just being blocked. Right? But you have to find a method that works. I said earlier that if you force creativity, you just eventually kill it.
Kill it, yeah.
Right? So true story, this piece took me over 2 years to get it to this stage. And it's not because I couldn't just whip up these things and just make it work. But when I started off with a different approach. And I think you have different methods. You have to find, as a creator, you have to find different methods to get to your end goal, right? There's a process, there's a standard to which you would make a piece, or you paint an art, or you would make graphic design, for instance.
Yes.
There's a process to that.
Yeah.
A start and an end that gives you your end result. But sometimes you just can't get to the start of it because it's just like it's blurry, it's not it's not coming together. And this was the situation for me with this piece.
Okay.
I had this image in my head. I can't sketch to save my life. Like I always just thought I needed to do a sketch first. And for every time I do a sketch, I always just drew a caricature. I'm like, that's not what I'm looking at. That's not what I see in my head.
Yeah.
Right. And I had tried to sketch this piece. I had tried to do a color infusion. I tried so many things. And before, my process is it's simple, but then complex. I source for different materials and textures to just pull inspiration. Then I do a mood board of putting all these pieces together and see if they work or if they just, can't work. And then once I do that, I'm able to then go look for the actual materials that I need. And it's never complete, right? Even sometimes for my pieces, it's not when everybody says, "Oh, this is so nice." It has to be my heart has to be happy with it before I can say it's complete. And I wasn't getting my heart happy for that. So I just left it and I walked away. And this is for me one of the longest I've walked away from a piece. I just left it and forgot it. I'm like, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to make nonsense just because I want to complete a piece. So, and it was not even an experiment, if I'm being honest. It was just leave it and get back to it eventually. And then I did forget about it because it was stocked off in somewhere.
Yeah.
But then I had this exhibition coming up and it was crunch time, right? It was a quick notice, short notice. You have an exhibition, can you make up? And I'm like, I think I can put some pieces together. And then I went to this tote that I had just dropped this thing in. I just went to fish for stuff. And I look at it, I'm like, oh, you're here. You're still here. Okay, whatever. And I had made I'd made pieces for the exhibition. I had finished them. And I was going to go out the door and I just looked at it again. And I'm like, my goodness, I just need to finish you. I really just need to finish. And I was just moving around and twisting things, and in my head it started to come together.
Yeah.
And I think it was the color combo that was the fuel for this piece. I didn't know how it was going to land, but I just needed it to be different. Usually my pieces would go from ear to ear, across your head, but this was going to go behind my head. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just make this thing. And I looked for colors that just blended with it for finishing materials and just made it. And when I went there, of course, it was the conversation of the evening. Everybody kept wondering why. And this is not the typical way you wear a fascinator. This is not the typical way. And for me, the lesson out of that was you may just need to take a walk away from that situation or that piece to pull the inspiration by coming back when the piece is ready to be finished, not when you're ready to be finished.
Wow.
Yeah. So pulling the inspiration for this was from the colors and the wait time.
Yeah. Okay. Let's Can you put this on? Let's see how this will work.
Okay. Second, this one here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Show the what?
Yeah, I'm not your, a typical flower person.
Yeah.
But this would definitely get my attention.
Mm-hmm.
So, how did this one come about?
Okay, so the name of my not the name of my pieces. The name of the business is called Purple Pebbles.
Okay, Purple Pebbles.
Yes, and the inspiration came very funny. It was after school, filled with all the ambitions to be an entrepreneur. I went to go register a name, and for every time they kept rejecting every name that I was dropping, I just wanted something royal, and I needed something grounded, but playful.
Yeah.
So Purple speaks royalty, regal, and it was very regent in itself. So that for me, it's like it's going on your head. It has to be royal. It's tied to royalty in some way. And then the groundedness, the pebble was just supposed to be, the pebble as a kid, you want to pick, I don't know if you pick pebbles, but I pick pebbles, the smooth ones, the white ones, I just, and I felt like it was fun. So purple pebbles was supposed to just roll off your mouth as a fun thing, as not a tongue twister, but just like a word that rhymed, and then got you curious enough to wonder what is purple pebbles, right? So because of that, I held on to that for the longest. And again, Purple Pebbles didn't start off making hats.
Yeah.
That's topic for another day. Is one of the other creative things that I still do.
Will that be your balloon?
That's not even the balloon ones. Okay. It didn't start off with the balloons, but it started off in the event industry.
Okay.
Really, I was being an event planner. And again, that was something that was still ahead of its time. So I think I have a knack for doing things that way ahead of the time. But yeah, Purple Pebble started as an event company, and I've just branched off doing other things just because I don't know who sold us the idea that we needed to do just one thing. But no, as creatives, you could do as many things as possible, as many things as your mind can fathom, right? Anyway, back to this piece. Because it's the crown and it goes on your head, it needs to speak. It needs to pull the attention that the crown would pull. Like a woman that puts this on isn't shy.
Yeah.
She's not timid. She is the confident woman. She's the audacious woman. She's that woman that holds the room. She's that woman that would be photographed because she comes into the room carrying herself that way. So how much more this is supposed to amplify that look. It's supposed to amplify the elegance that she is, right? So when I'm making my pieces, I'm not looking to tone it down. It's always going to be elevated. It's always going to be angled. It's going to be higher because from a mile away, she should be spotted, right? So anytime I make my pieces, there's a theme, there's a slight system to the madness, right?
Yeah.
It may not always look connected, but it's something that draws the attention.
There's a like you said, there's a method to the madness. There's a flow to it, which as a creative myself, I can see it.
Yeah.
Right? I can see it. I can see the story behind it. I can see especially how the flower, the pinnacle, sort of looks and its position. There's just a togetherness about it that I really, really, really love. The flower here and there have almost the same, angle and business to it. So, I wish we'd go on and on, but we need to start winding this down. So we're going to touch on 3 things quickly: your cooking, the balloons, and then the quick fire 6 questions. So let's start with the balloons. Yeah. So when I say the balloons, just do the same thing you do with your fascinators, you do with balloons.
Oh, yeah. And kicks too. So again, my hands are restless. They have to make something, and colors have been a strong motivation for me to do things. I see colors and I'm blown. I'm just hypnotized by them, if you may. And that's because colors just have a way of making me see things differently. So with balloons, how did I land that? Again, it was before its time. Balloons were in Nigeria growing up. I mean, as a child, I grew up playing with balloons, but with the kind of balloons that I had to go learn how to make, they were not balloons that, it was not the concept we knew at the time or accepted at the time. And it was even more difficult when you had to tell clients to pay a certain amount, and they're like, and they'll be like, for balloons? And that was the look for balloons. I'm like, yes, it's just not balloons. So I had to go learn the quality of balloons and kind of balloons to use and the art of balloon making. And for me, it was just another avenue to just show and display creativity. So I'd always use my kids as they were always my guinea pigs. So for every birthday, I just needed to make something that had to do with balloons. I didn't want to make balloon sculptures because those ones were that's a different niche on its own. But I just wanted to put balloons in the space and make it look beautiful, change the space, but with the colors. And balloons have a way of making colors even more enriched, right? Like, so you'd see, and with balloons, you would hear colors that you haven't heard before, right? It's like, yes, it happens with balloons. So I was happy to make those combinations and just to do those things. And that also I would pull inspiration from that when I want to make a fascinator. I'm like, oh, this color combination will look so grandly on the fascinator. So I'm going to do that. And then even that's translated into baking, right? I just found a knack for it. And contrary to what you thought about cooking, yes, I make really lovely meals. I just never liked cooking. I've never liked it as a child. And my parents always just...
I don't believe it. That's the problem. Because you see, she lives very close to me, and we always ask her, when are we coming for the next round? Trust me, she would make pancakes and they'll be different. She will make rice and they'll be...
It's the creativity.
TK doesn't know how to make a simple thing. There has to be
it has to be extra. There has to be the pizzazz.
We like the things because they always turn out well.
Yes.
So let's dovetail to cooking a bit. The other day you were on your status and I said, I hate you. And this is in a nice way because she knew what she was doing.
You have many others.
And so she was making, I think it was rice. Then she finished one kind of rice, went to another kind of, I think there were like 3 different variants. And then she didn't stop there. She now started to make what we call moi moi is what's moi moi in English now? That's beans.
Beans pudding, maybe.
Moi moi. Let's go and find out what moi moi is. I'll put a translation or what. Yeah.
Delicious, by the way.
It was so good. And I was like, must you always show yourself? That was my comment. I said, like, why are you just being proud? But how has creativity translated into why you cook the way you do?
Oh, that's a very, very simple one. And as a child, my nicknames were very tied to being skinny because I would not eat. I would never ask you to eat. I would never ask you for food because I was just never hungry. I just never liked to eat. But I later found out what the problem was. I needed to eat with my eyes first. Before I actually ate the food. So the food did not look appealing to me. There's nothing you could really say to me. It was going to be a serious exercise to get me to eat. And I learned that as an adult, like, you eat with your eyes first, right? And it just needed to look a certain way. The food could smell delicious for all I care. If it didn't look nice, if it wasn't plated right, I just felt like, no thanks. And unfortunately, my daughter is like that as well, but I digress. I had to make food look appealing. And for me, it was combining the right colors in the food. Like, why make noodles bland? Like, could I have, if I'm going to make noodles, can I put it in a sunflower plate? Right? Can I make, I didn't used to eat salads growing up, but I mean, I would make the best salads. I would kill it with the decoration of the salad. Like, you would see it and it would be like a really lovely platter but I would not eat it, right? But this, it started to change when I realized that I needed to eat my eyes first. So I'm looking for color combinations that just go nicely with the food. If I'm going to make a bowl of rice, why should the rice look sickly? It needs, it needs to look, it needs to attract me. And that's why I feel like even psychologically, buffets they make, they work because they have that information. They just need, they know that you need to eat your eyes first. So sometimes you go to a buffet stand and then you see it's all lit up, it's all staggered in the arrangement, the flowers here, the fruits in between, it's all deliberate because a lot of the times as humans we eat with our eyes first. So that for me was the spark for trying to cook the way I cook, and just like, you know what, it needs to be interesting for me to want to eat it. So and then I know that I torment a lot of people.
Yes, you do.
And it's not quite deliberate, right? I just felt like if I like it, and that's how it goes in my head. If I like it, I think someone else is gonna like it too.
Yeah.
Right. But it usually comes with threats like, why would you do this and not give it to me? I'm like, yeah, you could come and look at it, you can come and have a bit of it, but I just need to eat with my eyes first. Is why I do play with food the way I play with it.
Eat with your eyes first, play with the food, and torment the rest
and
of us.
torment the rest of you.
Okay, so as we wind this down, 6 fire questions from the book 6 Tips to Help You Thrive as a Creative. I'm going to send a copy to you as my guest. And so I purposely didn't show this to you.
Okay.
Right? Because funny enough, I'm going to read out some parts of it.
Okay.
And you'll be shocked that everything you've been saying is actually in it. And it's deliberate because we the way we want to show this podcast is that the creative journey has a lot of places where they intersect, some universal truths that we cannot hide away from. You are brave coming ahead of your time with pieces that were way ahead of your time, going through the emotions of, undervaluing yourself, growing to know the value of what you do, and sticking to it, diversifying and finding different creative expressions. So in a way, I can say you're thriving as a creative. My question for you, the first one, it has to do with the very first tip to be a thriving creative is, how would you say Audacity plays a role in your creative journey?
Don't care. Don't care about what anybody says. Just do it. Don't stall. Because when you stall, you start to doubt yourself. Like the word says, just go. It would look crazy. I can bet you it's going to be very crazy. But there are 50 million other people that are crazy like you. And they're looking for it. So just do it anyway. Give yourself the permission to do it.
Give yourself the permission to. So I'm going to read something, which is, it said, when we talk about creation, the first thing to know is this: creation means to create. Sometimes you're creating something that has never existed before. Those times when you think, nah, this is not going to be accepted, sometimes those are the very best things you can ever create. Let's look at it this way. Everything that grew to be accepted was at one point a first instance. In that moment, there was no proof of concept. No one could say, yes, this would work. What those pioneers did and what I encourage to do this year is to be audacious. Now, back to you, what you said, right? Don't wait for approval. Create anyway.
Create anyway. Just do it anyway.
Just do it anyway.
So
the second question is, this one is going to go hard. What would you say about the statement, don't play small, when it comes to being creative?
Because someone else is going to do it anyway. Like, don't never undermine your craft. The minute you do that, you're giving permission to other people to just do what you've been thinking, that thing you were afraid of. They're just going to do it. Someone is going to do it because we're living matter and energy can't stay in that state. It's always just evolving, it's always changing, it's always moving.
Yeah.
So why would you just settle for less? Like, why would you just shrink that thing that you really know is busting at its seams? Just do it. Because if you don't do it, you're going to regret not doing it when you see it out there and you see it on a much larger scale than you even envisioned. So playing it small is a deterrent to yourself. Like, it's a disadvantage to you, and you're holding back from people really expressing what you have to offer, right? So why play small?
Again, I'm going to read something to buttress what you said. Playing small serves no one, not your future self,
Yeah.
not your audience, not the ideas begging to be born through you.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yep.
is
Exactly.
so that
I don't
is
know, said it better.
that is so profound. Now the third one is, I tell people on the show this is my favorite,
Okay.
and it's for obvious reasons. Have you heard of the term admiration paralysis?
uh, I think so. I would have said analysis paralysis, but admission paralysis, this is, I can think through what that means.
So let me tell you what admiration paralysis is. Admiration paralysis is you see someone you admire either doing your craft, and you're like, you know what, I can never be that good, and then you stall, you don't do anything. So would you say that has happened to you? Or as a creative, how did you come out of it, and what would you tell creatives when it comes to dealing with admiration paralysis?
So, two things you could do. You could be paralyzed by it and just say, you know what, maybe I'll move on to another thing. Or you would use it as a springboard to project into what it is that you could actually do. That is a confirmation. That is validity that your idea makes sense. Because as creatives, a lot of times you're going to have that self-doubt where you're having that conversation, that battle in your head, like, oh, this is good enough, this is not good enough, nobody's going to like this, someone's going to like this. But once you see it out there, you could choose to be beaten by it and say, oh well, someone has done it, on to the next thing. Or, oh my God, that's actually validity that I'm not crazy. What I'm actually doing, someone out there is going to like it. So that's proof that it works. And then it's just there's really nothing new under the sun, right? You're only just shifting it.
Yes.
So you're just adding on to it, whatever it is someone has done, the social proof that someone has done this thing. So therefore I can actually go and do that and even make it better.
Again, I'm going to read part of the book, right? And this is one of the reasons why it's my favorite point. Admiration paralysis is when you admire someone so much that you think I can never be like them, so you do nothing. It's easy to scroll through someone's 10 to 15 years ahead and think, I can never reach that level. You see the summit of their mountain so clearly that your own first foothill seems pointless. Their path, their style, their success becomes not an inspiration, but an indictment to your own unrealized potential. So you freeze and do nothing. So this is the advice that your path is different.
Yeah.
Your scope, background, and exposure are different. Let their work encourage you and inspire you, but don't let it stop you. Why would you suppress the fantastic creative that is you in order to perform as a poor imitation of someone else?
Yes. And I think this just to add to that, a lot of people imitate because of that reason, because they've just given up and said, you know what, I couldn't do it any better. So I'm just going to copy that. And that is a disservice to you, largely, not even to the people or to the person who has done that. The inspiration should serve as an inspiration and as validity that it works, right? If you ever were looking for confirmation somewhere, that's confirmation that it works. So never shrink to fit, like just always move, always, regardless, do what you need to do, right? Because then you, in the process of doing it, you would find that exception that makes it even better.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the fourth one, which is something that you spoke about, and when you said it's deliberate that you usually don't have all the pieces to create your masterpieces, pun intended. And the fourth one says start with what you have. Right. And this is where the question is going to be drawn from. If you don't have it when you want to start, you don't need it to start.
Yep.
True or false?
Oh, true. So true. So true, because you have, I mean, you can make so much out of nothing. And when I mean nothing, I'm not like even thin air, right? The idea just needs to spark. And you need to be foolish enough to follow it. And I say foolish because once you start to apply logic, you start to see the reasons why. analysis paralysis sets in, right? But when you're just dogged enough to just go and jump with your 2 feet in, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed because a lot of the time the fear that holds you back is just the shallow water that you thought was an ocean,
Oh,
right? So just do it, right?
take
Be
it, drop
foolish
it
enough.
line.
Be foolish enough to just say, you know what, I'm going to be that. I'm going to be the source, the sore thumb sticking out. Like I'm going to be that person doing it, and you'll be pleasantly surprised because then you start to find versions of yourself that you didn't even know existed, right? So, yeah, do it. Do it foolish.
Wow.
Jump in foolish.
Wow.
Throw logic out the window, and you know.
That is so cool. So the second to the last question
Yeah.
is, it says own your story. Now, you can only take ownership of what you document. As a creative, you said you have so many ideas and you have your way of documenting them, even though you say you can sketch to save your life. So what has been your method to document those ideas that come, those ones that you can go back to? And what role does that play in helping you along your creative journey?
I mean, I have mementos from things from eras that I maybe flourished or thought I did exceptionally well. And before the internet has really helped, with documenting a lot of things. And I say the internet really because technology, internet, whichever we want to classify it, has helped because now you can document things digitally, right? You can leave a trail of your ideas. But before this was easily accessible, I just would keep I have mementos that I've kept as far back as when I was maybe 15, just to remind me of what this era was about and how I navigated this, right? And we need to document the story, which is one thing that is lacking. And in details, you need to document it in such a way that the people coming behind can reference it, right? You need to give them something to just help their journey. Because again, if you look at the purpose of being here or the purpose of being a creative in the first instance, it's for your personal satisfaction, yes, but much more beyond you. You need to be able to leave something for people coming behind. So pictures, a digital diary, just it could even be that sketchbook or a scrapbook. And I started scrapbooking recently where I'm just putting again these mementos that I am discovering in there, just and small notes, short notes to just remind me of what I've done, right? Like, and then just hand that over to someone someday, maybe my kids, maybe some museum in the future.
Definitely your daughter.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yes, you have to just document them, however little. There has to be a traceable method to your madness when people look at it and then just see. Because if you look at past artists, there's some way they left their story behind for you to just draw inspiration from. So, what's your version in today's time? Do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You see, what I like how you answered that we're like custodians of creativity for people yet to come along. And I see if the entire podcast is also another way of documenting this creative journey.
Yeah.
Now, someone can hear how you started, hear the things that you dealt with, the challenges you had, right? How you navigated undervaluing yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So documentation is very key because you one, you only own what you document, and two, if you cannot go back to it, then what's the point? And because of the way creativity in itself functions is like a flux. If you don't capture it at that moment, the chances that you remember are very fleeting. So the last one, I don't even need to open the book to say this one.
Okay.
But for consistency's sake, I'll read a part of it. Ask, when you close your eyes and picture creative success, what does it look like? What does it feel like? And what does it sound like? That's a question that ends the book. But what I want to ask you, the question I want to ask you is, when you hear the term decide to succeed, what does that mean to you?
Hmm. That's the goal, right? Like, regardless of what's happening I choose to succeed. I'm going to make that deliberate choice to make this work. Right. And I think a lot of people don't attach creativity and discipline together. Right. And those two things they're not mutually exclusive. They work hand in hand. Yes, you can be with your creative freedom and just explore. But if you do not attach that discipline to it, it's just a pet project, a passion project. You're just doing it as a hobby. But if it's that thing that you want to be known for, you need to attach discipline to it. You need to stay organized. You need to show up when you need to show up, especially when there's no, you have to show up regardless. Because there's no reward, especially when there's no reward to it. You need to still show up. So there are days when you just don't have that juice, but there's a story, there's a narrative you're trying to bring out. You're trying to tell a story. We're human, so there are days where you just don't have it within. But you still need to decide to show up. The same way you show up in the morning for yourself, the way you show up for work, the way you show up for your family, you need to be able to decide to show up to be creative, because it's not it's not exactly the easiest part, even if it looks simple, it looks pretty, it looks well done. It takes a lot. And that's one of the things that creatives struggle with, because you don't know, there's just so many things flooding in your head, and it feels like you're running mad, but you're not. You just haven't been able to stay organized. And staying organized is that attached to discipline. So deciding, it's showing up. Like I've decided I'm going to do this regardless, especially when there's no reward to it. Because this is something that I can't push off. I can't, you're restless about it. So decide to show up to make that story known, that goal achieved, right? And no one is coming to save you, right? So it's like knowing that no matter what it is, if I don't show up, nobody's going to come mark your script or anything, right? So it is you. What do you want to? What version of yourself do you want to see at the end? Do you want to see that person that just kept giving up at different intervals, or the person that showed up, especially when it was the hardest, right? And discipline is something. It's a habit. You just get used to it, and it becomes second nature to you. So you need to decide when it's hard. You need to decide. You need to just do it. And I mean, this era is nicer. It's more lenient, really, in comparison to how we grew up, where you had no choice. You just had to show up, right? A lot of things were not even understood. But now there's just so many things, too many tools out there to help you show up, right? Set a set a 30-day challenge or something. Do something. Just show up. Right. It's decide to be the better version of being a creative.
Wow. TK, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All this coming from Smooth said, I didn't want to do it.
I didn't want to do it. You forced me, but I'm glad I did it regardless.
But you see why I say she's a bundle of many creative expressions, and each one dovetailing into the other. To round up the show, I'll just give you a brief 30 seconds to just encourage a creative out there who may be on the verge of giving up and not thinking they can make it. What would you say to them?
It's not all roses all the time. It's going to be hard. You're probably finding it hard right now, but stay the course. Stay the course, because you're going to be thankful to the version of yourself that stayed the course. You have to take little steps. Some days days take the big steps. Some days be bold enough to reach out for help. I know that's not really very common in this space, because a lot of people are figuring this thing out themselves. But stay the course, because you're going to be very happy you did. The 15-year-old me right now, if I was going to say something to her, it's like, you're doing really well, right? You may be ahead of your time. You may not know that you're ahead of your time, but still stay the course, because you can't afford to not stay the course. Yeah, that's what I
Wow.
want to say.
Tokunbo Kupoluyi.
Oh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Leke.
And lastly, for me, I would just say I'm proud of you.
Oh,
I'm proud of the creative you have become.
thank you, thank you,
And
thank you, thank you.
hopefully, when next you pepper us with your food, and we say,
It's not that
"Can we come?"
Yes, you
we'll
can
come and we'll meet something.
You can come. You can come.
All
I
right.
mean, I'm sure. I mean, it resonates with you because you eat with your eyes first. So
Yeah.
that's the only reason I do it. I promise.
And also, this is for the brotherhood to be proud of me. We're proud of Yemi for allowing you to express yourself creatively. So, my brother, the creative juice is proud of you. Come on.
I'm helping now.
Till we'll come your way again. This has been the creative juice with Adeleke Aladekaba. See you on the next episode.